Hey everybody, my name is Sam. Welcome back to my channel. Excuse the mess that you see behind me. I was just about to edit this video and I realized I'd never recorded an intro. So this is going to be my January Booktube Creatives Challenge. If you don't know what the Booktube Creatives Challenge is, it's a challenge that's hosted every month by Megan at Tome Infinity and Steph at Novelty Corner. And it's basically where they give you a general theme and you do something creative that fits that theme that also at least loosely ties to books. And the January theme is To the Stars, which is perfect because it's sci-fi month and all three of us are participating in Tome Infinity and beyond, and this is wonderful. So I decided that I was going to do what I always do when I do a crafting challenge, and that was make a candle. So I'm making a candle that is themed after Record of a Spaceborn Few by Becky Chambers. In case you guys are new here, I am legitimately obsessed with the Wayfarer's books by Becky Chambers. And I just finished Record of a Spaceborn Few yesterday, which is the third book in the series, and it's interesting because it's about the humans who left Earth and have decided to just continue living on these homesteader ships, you know, just for generations and generations. And they have really interesting ways of doing everything. They have something called an oxygen garden where they grow their food and they grow grass and things to help produce oxygen to keep the air fresh. There's also one other interesting thing about it, and that's that they compost their dead and then they use the compost to grow things in the oxygen garden. And I wanted to make a candle that smelled like I imagine the oxygen garden on a homesteader ship would smell, because I feel like it would be the only place that you really felt like you got fresh air on a ship like that. And I also think that just the whole concept is kind of weirdly, morbidly beautiful. So I made a candle that's scented like I imagine the oxygen garden would smell, and I put it in a container so that when it's lit, it looks like a sky full of stars. I'm going to go ahead and show you that now. The rest of this video is going to be voiceover. Also, I'm sorry, the camera angles might be crap. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is talk about the materials you need. And the first thing you need is a container. This is my favorite container, and it's going to do most of the work for this candle for me, which is amazing. I got this candle container for $3 in the dollar spot at Target because I'm a classy bitch. Other than a container, you're gonna need some wax, obviously. I have soy wax. I got it from the craft store. I normally order it online. I can link where I get it from below, but I ran out, needed more, bought it from the craft store. You're also gonna need something to mix your fragrance in. I use Dixie cups or any kind of little paper cups. You're going to need something to hold your wick in place. I have actual wick bars, but you can use a popsicle stick or a pen or whatever you want. You're also going to need color if you want it, which I don't for this because it won't look as cool. And then you're going to need fragrance oils. I'm going to be using some really earthy, weird fragrance oils. I didn't think I was going to use that one, so I just put it to the side, but I'm using fresh cut grass, dirt, night air, and oak moss to try to get a kind of earthy, wet, airy smell. The oak moss one is actually a soap fragrance. That's totally fine, not a big deal. You also need a wick, and then something to put your wax into. You can use, this is a specific pour pot for candle making, but you can just use an old pot or a crock pot, or if you're using soy wax, you can put it in a glass measuring cup and put it in the microwave. That's fine. And then just a pan that you're gonna fill with water and make it into a double boiler. Unless you're doing the microwave thing, then you don't need to do that. This is floating here, which is really weird, but it's just because I haven't added the wax yet, and that container is really, really light, like aluminum. It's too light to not float. So you're gonna measure out your wax. I just use the container that I'm gonna put the candle in, and if I'm using wax flakes, I just need enough to fill that container twice to make enough for one whole candle. If you're ever in doubt, use more wax, not less, because you can always pour the excess into something else. That's going to end up happening to me, so I'll show you what I do at the end of this video. I just decided to melt the rest because I didn't have enough left to do anything else with. Turn on your burner, do some stirring. You're just going to let the heating up water melt all your wax. Alright, so this is what it looks like before it starts melting down. Make sure you keep an eye on it. because if it gets melted and then gets too hot, it will start on fire, and you don't want that. While it's melting though, I'm going to stick the wick in place. Here you're going to watch me struggle with it for like several minutes because I couldn't get the wick to stay in place. Normally I use some unmelted wax to just stick it to the bottom of the container, but for whatever reason that wasn't working for me, so I decided to glue it. I just used Elmer's Glue All, which is a little bit stronger than their regular school glue, but it's still like a washable, non-toxic, so it's not going to permanently stick itself to this container, so I'll still be able to reuse it. And then here you see me struggle for another couple seconds to get this stuck in place. So then I just put the wick bar in there to hold it up straight while the glue dries. And then we're gonna set that aside. And then we're gonna mix up the fragrance. This is by far my favorite part of the candle making process. So I spend a long time doing this and I'm not that precise about it. I basically just kind of dump a little bit of this and that in there until it gets to be the smell that I want. So you'll notice I keep like picking it up and sniffing it, adding a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The general measurement is for a pound of wax, you want to use like 1 ounce, but I don't follow those measurements at all. I just do whatever I want because I'm an adult and you can't tell me what to do. Anyway, this is what it looks like when it's about half melted. After this, it'll need to melt for about another minute. Here it is, all melted, as you can see. So I'm going to shut off the burner because you don't want it to keep getting hot. Add in the fragrance, stir it up. You can smell it at this point, but I'm just going to warn you, it doesn't smell the same after it's done as it does while you're making it. It's like really hard to tell how it's going to smell until after everything is all said and done. Here I'm just going to dump it into the container. Sometimes the wick will come back out after this. It's a little bit more secure since I glued it this time, but it does kind of get a little crooked, so after you pour, you're going to want to straighten your wick out before your wax starts to harden. You can see I moved the wick bar over to the other side because it was more stable that way. And then I still had a little bit of extra wax in the pot because I made a little too much. So I have these shaped silicone trays. I have a crap load of these things. So I just pour the excess wax in here and then I can melt it down later and put it in another candle, or I can just put these into a wax warmer as like wax tarts. I do that a lot. I'm gonna let all of that sit overnight. It should be hardened by the morning. And then after that, you want to let your candle sit for about 24 hours before you burn it. This is what it looks like all lit. Isn't it pretty? I love that container because it makes it kind of look like a nice sky full of stars. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. Sorry I suck at holding the camera, but if you liked it anyway, go ahead, give it a like, subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and have a great day. Bye.